It was a quiet Monday morning when Mary, an elderly woman with a gentle demeanor, wandered through the local grocery store. She moved slowly down the aisles, scanning the shelves for her essentials. The store was nearly empty, with only a handful of customers quietly going about their day. Outside, the winter morning air hung heavy with mist, the faint sound of passing cars muffled by the fog. But what happened next will shock you. He was unassuming, modest even, no bodyguards, no fanfare. But anyone who recognized him would know. This was no ordinary man. It was Elon Musk, the entrepreneur known for his work with SpaceX and Tesla. Elon often enjoyed blending into everyday settings, observing the world unnoticed. Today, he wore a casual gray hoodie and jeans, blending effortlessly with the sparse crowd in the store. This time, he was there for something much simpler. SpaceX-branded chocolates, a quirky but beloved treat from his company. As he strolled through the aisles, his eyes scanned the shelves with a casual yet purposeful gaze. Pausing when he spotted the bucket filled with SpaceX-themed delights, his face lit up with a gleam of satisfaction. As Elon bent to pick up the bucket of chocolates, his arm brushed against an elderly woman. The unexpected collision sent the chocolates tumbling out, scattering across the cold tile floor in a chaotic burst of colors. The noise echoed sharply in the otherwise quiet store, drawing the attention of a few curious onlookers. "Oh, I'm so sorry," Elon said immediately, his voice laced with genuine concern. His usually composed face softened as he knelt to help retrieve the spilled chocolates. Mary knelt with care, her movements deliberate and slow, picking up a single chocolate and holding it out toward him. "It's fine," she replied softly, her voice thick with something unspoken. Her face, worn with years of quiet struggle, carried a heaviness that didn't match the simplicity of the moment. The lines etched into her skin seemed to tell a story of hardship and resilience, her eyes reflecting an unexpected sadness that lingered beneath the surface. Elon noticed the tremor in her hands, the quiver that betrayed her strength. He glanced at her cart, a small collection of canned goods, bread, and milk. It wasn't much, but it was clear these items held great significance to her. Something wasn't right. Despite her reassurances, Elon couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just a simple accident. His curiosity piqued, he decided to observe. Mary slowly made her way to the checkout counter, her steps heavy with unspoken burdens. The fluorescent lights overhead cast a harsh glow on her as she approached the cashier, who barely glanced at her. Placing her groceries on the counter, she whispered, "I'd like to pay for these." Her voice, though soft, carried a faint tremor of hope mixed with desperation. The cashier's response was curt. "Sorry, ma'am, but you don't have enough to cover this. We can't keep giving things away." His tone was cold, indifferent, as if her plight was just another inconvenience in his day. Mary's hands trembled. "Please, my grandchildren are hungry. I can't send them to bed like this." Her plea was raw, a testament to the weight of her responsibilities. But the cashier dismissed her again. "No charity here. Take your things and leave." Humiliation reddened Mary's cheeks as she turned toward the exit, her shoulders slumped. The weight of rejection seemed to press down on her, each step a struggle. Elon, standing nearby, watched the entire exchange, his heart heavy. He couldn't understand the indifference around him. The other customers averted their gazes, pretending not to notice, their silence deafening. A surge of frustration welled up within him. Elon had always believed in innovation and progress, yet here he was, witnessing the antithesis of those ideals. A society content to ignore suffering. His mind flashed back to his own struggles, moments when a single act of kindness had changed his trajectory. Those memories spurred him to act, not out of pity, but out of a sense of duty to restore hope where it was waning. Without hesitation, Elon followed Mary outside. The cold air bit at his face as he stepped into the misty parking lot. He found her sitting on the curb, quietly crying. Her shoulders trembled as she muttered, "It's all my fault. I let it happen." Her grief was palpable, a raw display of vulnerability that spoke to years of silent suffering. Elon approached her gently. "I'm sorry for what you're going through," he said, kneeling beside her. His voice was soft, filled with sincerity. Mary looked up, startled. Her tear-streaked face was etched with disbelief. "It's okay. I didn't want pity," she whispered. Elon nodded. "This isn't pity. It's help." His words hung in the air, a quiet promise. Yet inside, Elon felt a familiar ache, the recognition of how deeply systems could fail the most vulnerable. He resolved then and there to act, knowing that even small gestures could create ripples of change. He stepped away briefly, pulling out his phone to make a call. The sounds of the bustling parking lot faded as he focused. "Bring a check," he instructed his assistant. "Make it count, but don't let her know it's from me." As he ended the call, his gaze lingered on Mary. He wondered how often she had been forced to choose between dignity and survival, and it filled him with a quiet determination. Later, as Mary sat on a bench, dabbing at her eyes with a worn tissue, a sharply dressed man approached her. His steps were measured, purposeful. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said kindly, holding an envelope. "This is for you." Mary stared at the envelope, confusion and gratitude washing over her. "Who sent you?" she asked, her voice trembling. But the man only offered a polite smile and left without a word, disappearing into the mist. That afternoon, Mary sat at her small kitchen table, the envelope resting before her. The room was quiet, the only sound the faint ticking of an old clock on the wall. With trembling hands, she opened it. Inside was a check, an amount so large it felt impossible. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "Is this real?" Her mind raced with questions. Who would do this? Why? For days, the check sat untouched on her kitchen table. Each morning, as sunlight streamed through the curtains, it caught her eye, a beacon of hope and uncertainty. Mary's thoughts circled endlessly. What if it's a mistake? What if I don't deserve this? But her grandchildren's laughter, echoing through the modest home, reminded her why she couldn't ignore the opportunity. Meanwhile, Elon couldn't stop thinking about Mary. As he reviewed plans for SpaceX and Tesla, her face lingered in his mind. He felt a rare sense of humility, realizing that amidst his grand ventures, it was these quiet, human moments that truly mattered. She deserves a chance, he thought. And with that, he decided to follow her story from afar, hoping she would find her strength again. Finally, Mary resolved to act. With determination, she transformed the check into something extraordinary, a small grocery store for her community. The store, housed in a once-abandoned shop on her street, quickly came alive under her care. Shelves were stocked with fresh produce, canned goods, and essentials. Not just any store, but a place of hope, offering free groceries to struggling families. "No questions asked," she told her neighbors. "If you need help, just come." Word spread quickly. The store became a beacon of kindness, its shelves lined not just with goods but with compassion. People from all walks of life visited, not just for the groceries, but for the warmth and humanity Mary offered. Mary's Haven, they called it. The store quickly became more than a place for groceries. It evolved into a community hub. People gathered there to share stories, support one another, and rebuild connections. Mary started a small program to teach children how to cook nutritious meals, ensuring they carried the knowledge forward. "This isn't just about food," Mary would say. "It's about nurturing hope." Her transformation inspired those around her. A once quiet and reserved woman had become a pillar of strength and generosity in her neighborhood. She began organizing donation drives, partnering with local farmers, and even hosting weekly dinners for struggling families. Months later, a journalist shared Mary's story. It went viral, touching hearts far beyond her neighborhood. People across the world were moved by her resilience and the ripple effect of one act of kindness. The article reached the attention of Elon Musk. Sitting in his office, he read the story slowly, a rare smile spreading across his face. He penned a letter to Mary. "Thank you for turning a simple gesture into something extraordinary. Your resilience has created a ripple effect greater than I could have imagined." When Mary received the letter, tears filled her eyes. She whispered, "One day my grandchildren will know the man who gave us a future, and when the time comes, they'll reach for the stars." Sometimes all it takes is one act of kindness to change everything. Just like Mary, we can turn even the darkest times into something brighter. This isn't the only time Elon has helped change lives. Watch another incredible story of how he inspired a movement of kindness that still resonates today.